He smirked and said, "You're just not cut out for this job." I'd spent years covering his mistakes, fixing his messes, and watching him take credit for my work. That day, I smiled back and quit on the spot. What he didn't know was that I'd already started building something behind the scenes, and 6 months later, he was begging me for a job. I'll never forget the smirk on his face. That slight curl at the corner of his mouth, the one that said he thought he'd won. "You're just not cut out for this job," he said, leaning back in his chair. The fluorescent office lights flickered above us, the hum of the printer filling the silence. I had worked for him, Ethan, my manager, for 3.5 years. 3 years of doing his work. 3 years of staying late while he went home early. 3 years of great job, team emails that somehow never mentioned my name. And that day, the project I had spent 6 months perfecting my idea, my pitch, he presented it to the board like it was his. When they applauded him, I felt something inside me finally break. So when he looked at me after the meeting and said those words, "You not cut out for this job," I didn't argue. I just smiled, because I already knew I wasn't. I was meant for something bigger. When I joined the marketing firm 3 years ago, I was fresh out of college, ambitious, creative, and naive. Ethan was already a senior manager, charming, confident, the kind of man who could turn any lie into a pitch. Everyone loved him. At first, he was friendly. He told me I had potential. He'd call me kiddo and say things like, "Stick with me. You'll learn how to play the game." And for a while I did. But the longer I stayed, the more I realized the game was just exploitation dressed as mentorship. He'd take my work, polish it slightly, and claim it as his. He'd call it team effort. But whenever something went wrong, suddenly it was my mistake. I told myself it would get better. It didn't. A 1.5 years in, I came up with a campaign idea that could change everything. It was bold, modern, built on social engagement and emotional storytelling. I stayed up nights designing mock-ups, metrics, and audience research. When I showed Ethan the concept, he smirked. "Good work. Let's pitch this next week as a team." But at the board meeting, he presented my deck with his name on the first slide. He didn't even flinch. When our VP called it brilliant, Ethan winked at me. And when I confronted him after, he said, "Relax, you're lucky to be learning from me." That night, I cried in my car for an hour before driving home. The next morning, I started my plan. I decided to stop building his empire and start building mine. Every evening after work, I'd open my laptop and design freelance campaigns. Small businesses, startups, NGOs, anyone who'd trust me. Word spread fast. Within 6 months, I had repeat clients. Within 9, I was making more freelance than I did in my full-time job. I called my brand Verity Truth because that's all I ever wanted from that office. Meanwhile, Ethan got worse. He'd use my ideas, then nitpick my work and meetings to make himself look smarter. He once told me, "If you were really good, you'd already be in my chair." Funny thing is, he was right. It happened during our biggest client pitch of the year, a $1 million account. Ethan was nervous, so I prepared everything: market analysis, visuals, even the closing pitch. He rehearsed it with me the night before, but during the presentation, when I suggested an idea mid-meeting, he cut me off in front of everyone. "Let the professionals handle this, okay?" That's when the client, Mr. Patel, the CEO, frowned. He looked at me, then back at Ethan, and said, "Actually, I'd like to hear what she was saying." I finished my point. The client loved it. We won the account, and Ethan still took the credit. Later that day, when I walked into his office to ask about acknowledgement, he gave that same smirk. "You're just not cut out for this job. So I quit. Right there, no notice. I left my key card on his desk and said, "You're right, I'm not." For a while it was scary. No paycheck, no safety net, just me and my laptop. But Verity grew faster than I ever imagined. My old clients recommended me to new ones. Within months, I had enough to hire 2 freelancers. And then it happened. Mr. Patel, the CEO from that $1 million pitch, reached out. He said, "Ethan's firm can't handle our new direction. I remember your creativity. Would you like to take over?" I signed a contract the next week, worth triple my old salary. 6 months later, I sat in my new office, glass walls, sunlight streaming in, Verity etched on the door. My assistant buzzed in. "There's a man here for the project manager position." When I looked at the resume, I froze. Ethan. He walked in, same smirk, but smaller now. I didn't interrupt him. I just listened. He said he'd been between jobs and wanted to contribute to something meaningful. Then he paused. His eyes scanned the office. The logo on the wall, the awards. My name on the glass door. That's when it hit him, and his face fell. "You run this place," I smiled. "You're just not cut out for this job." I didn't hire him. I thought revenge would feel loud, explosive, but it didn't. It felt quiet, peaceful, because in the end, I didn't destroy him. I just stopped letting him destroy me. Sometimes the best revenge isn't humiliation or payback. It's walking away from the people who never believed in you and proving that you didn't need their belief to win.